Justified Season 6 premiere, Fate's Right Hand. It really sucks that this is going to be the last season of Justified, but Justified is without a doubt one of my favorite shows. It's probably my favorite. It's always kind of fighting with Supernatural is like my favorite show on TV. And this was a great first episode. Some really surprising stuff, especially like the very end of this episode was very surprising to me with them killing off Dewey Crow. He's like always that character that comes back. And oddly enough, when he got out of prison in the beginning of this episode, the first thing I thought was like he's probably the most fortunate character in this episode or in the series because he's like the dumb character, but he always survives. Even like in the last episode, he had like crazy cousins that were much smarter and much deadlier than him. All of them got either killed or busted, and it's just kind of crazy. And in this episode, he's going through kind of doing his thing. He does the dumb thing that he always does, is screws up, and it's like he got busted, even though of course, yeah, he was, him being stupid was kind of the plan. So nothing really happened there, but it was just very interesting, like him getting caught and him having to go back and say like, hey, Boyd, like what the heck, like he said this is important, I want to really be a big role in this. And I didn't think he really did too much to kind of make Boyd suspicious, but he brought up something he shouldn't have brought up, and that was pretty much all there was to it. He didn't think he was a rat, but as Boyd said, he didn't think he could trust him, and that was all there was to it. And he killed him, and it was like, man, that's and that's always how things go in a series finale, or like in a final season. They kind of get rid of certain establishing things for the series. Like early on in the episode, they showed that the whorehouse was gone, like it was seized, and it was like, that's kind of interesting because from season one, that's been a really big staple, because either characters were working there when this series first started, characters kind of took, other characters took over the place, and it's just been like a big hub in the series since the very beginning, and now it's gone. And it's one of those things, like it's all the big staples of the series over time kind of change, and they're gone. They don't have that same feeling that they did initially, so that the series can kind of move on in its final season. And it was interesting how they did that. I didn't think that they would actually kill off a character that we've known since the first season in this episode, and it really does suck. I always loved Dewey as a character because he was so silly because of his stupidity. And like even in this episode when he tried to like just leave the cops, I can't remember how he said negligence, but I know he said malfeasance. He was like malfeasance, and it was just really silly. Like he's just so stupid, but he's such a fun character to watch. And so it was really crazy to see him get killed off in this episode. And Boyd being the one that did it, it made him like even deadlier, because he normally doesn't really kill off people that we've known for a long time unless they specifically do something against him. And in this case, I think it was really the only time we've ever seen him kill someone where it was like he just didn't know how things would go with that character. It was like, I don't know 100% that I can trust him, so I gotta kill him. In most cases, he's almost sure, like, I know I can't trust this person. And in this case, I think it was a little different because it was like right in the middle, and Dewey really wasn't going to do anything, but it was that type of thing, like I don't know 100%, but it's not like in most cases where it's just like, they're definitely turning against me right now. He just had no idea, and he took care of it because he's trying to escape. It's, with it being the final season, they're building this up. He's doing these bank jobs because he wants to get out. He wants to have, this one final big cash in, and then he's gone. Him and Ava are just going to take off and go somewhere. So I thought that was really cool. It was very interesting. The stuff with Raylan and kind of him trying to get Boyd, and of course Dewey was their kind of big link initially, and now he's gone, so of course they're gonna have to figure something else out. But him trying to figure out like, okay, this is like the final thing I have to do. How do I get this done? What steps do I take? Because he has to do it in a normal way, which he was talking to the old chief, and it's like, things don't exactly go the way you want them to. I know you want to kind of just gun this guy down, and say you do, then, you'll be leaving to see your daughter, and the only time you'll see her is behind, plexiglass, or, if you screw up, you can get killed off. And I know it's unlikely, but things don't always go your way. So I enjoyed that scene. It's like he has to do things differently. And of course we're going to still see him do stuff. Like even in this episode when he like basically kidnapped the Federale, in the very beginning, that's still typical Raylan. So it's not like we're getting a huge departure or anything. So it's still cool. It's just the main, mission, I guess, of him trying to get Boyd. Where, it's going to be him little, piece by piece throughout the entire season. So I'm definitely going to enjoy that. I think this was a great first start. Craziest part of the episode, like the weirdest part, was definitely the one guy who went up to the house and was just like picking up dust and was just like, I just want to buy the house and stuff. In the preview, he was with Boyd. I don't think he's working with Boyd. I think he's working with whoever this other main villain guy is going to end up being. He might be working with him or something. I don't know. Maybe he is working for Boyd. I don't know. But I'd love to know why he went to Raylan. Like, maybe it was because of Boyd. Maybe it was because of these other people. Because Raylan is fairly, his name is fairly widespread as, like, kind of the gung-ho U.S. Marshal, in the series. So it could have been for any reason. But I thought that was probably the craziest part of the episode. Because it was just kind of weird. It was just, he's, like, just picking up dust. And it's like, I'm testing the land. It's like, we're dust in the wind. There's some crazy, metaphorical type stuff just with the imagery. And the way he was speaking and stuff, and like he opens up the case and it's just like all sorts of crinkled up money and stuff. Like as soon as he did that, I knew it was stolen money, and I thought it was kind of funny. It's like he just opens this case, nothing looks neat. It's like you might as well not have even put the little bands on it. You basically just yank this out of someone's purse. So that was just an interesting part. I want to see his character. I think he's going to be like that weird character for this season. He might not be, but just based on his introduction in this episode, I'm hoping he's going to be like our sort of weird, like lower level villain for the season. Because there's always some character like that that's just like really weird and out there that does like some weird crazy stuff, but they might be like one of the main villains or they might be a lesser villain. But he's obviously one of the bad guys, so I hope he keeps that weird sort of characteristic where he's kind of just like, I'm just a normal guy, but you can tell he's doing that to try to get an angle on someone. So I hope that's how his character plays out through this season. But I did enjoy this episode. Ava kind of being the spy and not really being able to do it, I think is going to be interesting to see her, oddly enough, advance as like a spy, so to speak. So I don't know what to really expect out of that. It's going to be interesting for sure. Like the preview for like what's going to happen this season, it got me really excited. Like she's going through like some turmoil. Like she doesn't want to go back to prison, of course, but if she can't do the job, then she's going to go back to prison. If she's in on the job, of course she goes to prison, and if she screws up doing the job, she'll get killed. So it's like a lose-lose-lose situation. And in the one way that she could win, so far at least, she's having a lot of trouble doing that. So it'll be cool to see her kind of grow in that way and deal with that dilemma, because she's of course been with Boyd for so long and she's kind of been on his side, and now she's basically against him. And if she screws up, then she said like she doesn't want a hole through her head. That could easily happen if Boyd doesn't, as we saw in this episode, if Boyd doesn't trust you, that's it. And I don't know if he thinks it's her based on the end scene of this episode. I don't really know if that's the case. Honestly, I thought it was because he is feeling really tense right now. Like he does really want to get out of town and he wants to leave with her. I figured that's what I got out of it, at least. I don't think he suspects her just yet. I think it's just like, I don't know who to trust, and this is the one person that matters. Like I could kill off all my henchmen, I couldn't care less about them, but this woman matters. And that's that's what I got, at least. Like I said, when he was like just watching her sleep, that's what it felt like to me. Not that he thought she was a rat. I'm sure that'll happen at some point in the season. I feel like it has to come to a head, and I don't know if she'll make it out of that, honestly. I'm like, with it being the final season, heck, with it being any season of this show, you never really know. You think you kind of have things in order, and then they kind of just throw you for a loop, and they'll kill off someone that's been in the series for a really long time. So I don't know how things are going to play out, but I'm really excited for this final season. It's unfortunate, but great show. I know it's going to be a great final season, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about the premiere, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what do you guys want to see for this final season. I mean, we're going to get the official ending to, of course, Raylan versus Boyd Crowder, so we're of course going to get that, but there are, of course, a lot of other recurring characters. We saw one, I can't think of his name, but the guy who's in the wheelchair now, he's coming back. I have to assume like the little girl who was in, I believe it was season 2 or 3. I'm sure she'll come back for an episode or two, and they'll kind of find a way to resolve her story completely, and some of the other characters as well. But like I said, I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.